Gentlemen, how's it going? It is DevsBooth, and today we are back with a new Amara build. And with this one, you're going to be able to do over 1 billion points worth of damage. So I gotta say, it's pretty darn equivalent to being One Punch Man. And there's not a lot you actually need for this setup. It really depends on what you're going to be doing in particular, but all you're going to need is a DLC for item, the Muse, and then a artifact. So it won't matter which artifact you use as long as it is one of these few. Basically, what you're going to need is melee damage. And as you can see right here, currently we are using the White Elephant. The next thing I would also recommend is the melee damage one of the Knife Drain Static Charge, as you're able to get some health back when you do melee. You're not going to go down. The whole point of this class is you're punching, you're not going down. I was able to get to Trant, I was able to do Graveward, I was able to do the takedowns without going down. And then as you can see on the static charge, there is a bonus shock damage to it, as well as action skill cooldown. Basically, you're going to be throwing in your action skill, you're going to be meleeing, you're going to be getting your health back. That's all you need to this. And then the other one would be Unleash the Dragon. And so if you do have the Psycho Stabber as well, Flak Gamma Burst video, you'll have seen some of these artifacts as well. They're not hard to get. Basically, they're all going to be about boosting elemental damage, melee damage, action skill, cooldown, rate. However, I do recommend the White Elephant for bosses, and then the Static Charge mostly for mobbing. And then what I would recommend in a weapon that you have is gain 300% increased weapon damage against enemies above 90% health. A lot of enemies, you're one punching everyone. You get this anointment, you're going to be able to do the one punch a bit better. Unfortunately, this one only has plus 40% melee damage, and there are ones like this one where it's 120% is what you want. However, this one also has on Ash's skill end, which is a very short amount of time. Melee damage is increased by 100% for a short time. Same thing with this deep dive face puncher. So get those. Anything to boost melee damage. This is what you use if the enemy is far away. You see here in the background, I was just fighting Graveward. It was a great build. I didn't go down. I was able to beat the boss fast. Absolutely easy peasy, what I recommend. And then I am using the Iron Maiden Stop Gap. You can use whatever shield you want. No one shield will be better than the other. Probably Stingers might be up there. Same thing with the new DLC for shields, like the Faulty Star or the Ultra. Either one of those will be super good for you. And then there's not a lot of melee based grenades. Again, I do have the Fish Slap, and then Grenade Thrown, Grenade Weapon, and Action Skill damage are increased. Basically, get the Fish Slap. If you weren't around for the event for it, it doesn't matter basically. Get something that boosts your stats on Grenade Thrown, or after an Action Skill end. But grenades aren't going to be too prioritized, but it is good to have. And so, what I would recommend is the more Linoge or the Psycho Stabber. Again, something with that action skill end and the high melee damage. And then I actually do recommend the Deep Dive Face Puncher. You're doing lots of crits, you're going to be able to do lots of damage for enemies that are far away. And action skill end, everything's about the melee damage. You don't have to worry about going down, and that's why for the Mayhem build, but you shouldn't be going down as long as you are punching. I did have some close calls throughout my playtime, but I never did once go down. And I'll touch on the skills here in just a moment. I just want to show you the current Mayhem that we're using. We have Slayer here, non-boss enemies below 50% total armor, shields, and health glow blue, and you get shield boosters and health boosters if damaged by melee. That's fine. You don't really need XP with this one. Mob mentality, break it up. Enemy damage and fire rate is increased 30% while near other enemies. It sucks, but it's like the best of a bad situation. Ticked off. Status effect damage against enemies is reduced by 90%. Yeah, that may not sound good. Again, we're trying to go for the things that work best with the build. And you're not doing status effect as much as you are doing status or elemental damage. So you're not with incendiary, you're not lighting them on fire, and that's why they're taking damage. They're just taking incendiary damage, for example, or shock damage, for example. Roguelite, you no longer enter fight for your life before dying, which is fine because you're gonna have lots of health anyways. That's not important. The next thing that is important though, so you will need to be high enough level, is having ground breaker. Melee attacks or slam will trigger an aftershock, dealing 25% of all non-melee damage you have dealt over the last 5 seconds. To have. Groundbreaker, great to have. That's where you're going to get the billion plus damage from. It's all going to be chained. And just in the Fist of Elements, Amara's status effects deal increased damage over time and have increased duration. Her action skill status effect deals further increased damage. And then from our class mod, we have Illuminated Fist. Amara gains increased melee damage, that's what you want, and her melee damage is converted to her action skill element. Also what you want, plus 300% damage. Again, we're punching and punching, that's all you gotta do. Amara deals increased elemental damage, shock damage is further increased. I do have it currently on fire or incendiary, as that's what you're going to be doing primarily, but you can always take it off and deal strictly shock. And then we have the artifact that boosts shock damage as well. And then with Brawl, it's increased health. You will have times where you get super close to dying. I think currently where it is now, I mean, I can't really boost up anymore anyways, but where it is now is the sweet spot. And then the next thing will be Clarity, where you regenerate health constantly. Helping Hands for a few seconds after using her action skill. Amara's arms remain active and grant her damage reduction. Super good. Find your center, you're doing more melee damage. Again, everything is going to be about melee damage. Mindfulness, for every stack of mindfulness, Amara gains improved shield regeneration delay and movement speed. You're going to go around speedy, punching people. One with nature, bonus health, damage resistance to her action skill, yada yada. Jab cross, whenever Amara deals melee damage to an enemy, she gains increased action skill damage and increased gun damage for a few seconds. We're going to be doing lots of melee damage. Action skill will be super benefit from it. And then when Amara enters fight for her life, she immediately gains a second win, restores the health, and creates an action skill Elemental Nova that may knock back nearby enemies. Cooldown of 2 minutes. Basically, if you happen to go down for whatever reason, you have a way to get back up and you won't die, and this will sort of cancel out the Mayhem modifier. And then you have Blitz, press melee basically, while aiming at an enemy to make Amara dash a short distance forward and perform a special melee strike dealing elemental damage. If Blitz melee attack kills an enemy, Blitz cooldown is immediately reset. You get bonus damage from it. So it's press melee while aiming at an enemy, which is the important part there, and you'll do lots of damage. And again, everything's going to be chaining, and then with Mystical Assault, Rush Stacks, you're going to be doing bonus action skill damage, and they're going to be like affecting the Elemental a chance. We have things like Restless to lower the action cooldown, Ascendant to boost things, reduce times to wait, Laid Bare, enemies take increased damage from all sources for a few seconds after being damaged by Amara's action skill. You use your action skill, then you punch. They're going to be super weak. And then when Amara kills an enemy with a gun or action skill, she creates a homing projectile that seeks out a new enemy, dealing her action skill elemental damage. Any overkill damage is added to the projectile damage. Awakening, Amara's rush stacks gain increased effectiveness at plus 30%. And then Avatar, Amara's action skill can be activated while it's cooling down, which is super important, as you want to be basically splashing each and every person that you are able to. With the fish slap, it's like doing a punch but from a little bit of a distance. And so the orbs that do come out of the enemies, after you kill them, you can see how they're kind of red here. Those will be the things that do the billion plus damage. and as you can see, they shoot out and they just smoke enemies wherever they are. And so this will be a way to actually get that, like to make grenades viable, to make melee viable. Where I had actually just finished recording some videos where I was saying how that it would not be viable. So it's a nice little change of pace. And you can see the balls that have come out. Unfortunately, they went and hit the wall, so they didn't do anything. But there they are again. And we're on Mayhem 10. We're punching the anointed, and we're not going down. We're having an easy breezy time. Anyways, guys, that'll be everything for the Amara Superman Punch build. You're not going to be one punching everything all the time. Sometimes you'll take a few hits, but you won't be going down. You'll be next to invincible. If you do go down, you'll be able to get back up right away, and there's chances to do over 1 billion damage. So, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.